mate. Don't worry. Don't want to discuss it. It's just stupid. Okay, are we ready to go on the first one or not?
Yep.
Okay.
Hang on. We might.
What?
I think we're up to the 26th episode. Because the last live was the
Well,
25th.
if that was already typed in the last one, then it would be the 26th and the 27th.
Okay. Alright, so it's the 26th. Hang on. I've got a... What's this board again?
Will you just flip it?
Alright, so I need that one. And I need that one. Turn off.
Just keeps going.
I think I can remember how to do it.
Lol.
It's not the 25th, it's the 26th episode. Save.
Oh, my mum.
I think I can remember how to do it.
Lol. Your memories on Facebook. Luckily, he found a wife so he could have sex. The non-masturbating Tyrannosaurus Rex.
What was that?
Remembering your Facebook posts from 9 years ago. Luckily, he found a wife so he could have sex. The non-masturbating Tyrannosaurus Rex. Shall we start with that?
Right, you ready?
Okay.
Record.
Will you just flip it?
Hello, Garbos, and welcome to the very 26th episode. Back as usual is Ewan, and on Skype is Patrick.
Howdy.
We haven't done one for a while. I've had COVID. You have brought cars, and we've been lazy.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a full on couple of months, but oh well, we're here. Let's see if anyone's still interested.
Oh, I pushed the button again.
See, look, we're out of tune.
And you're going on holidays next week. I think the last time we talked, we weren't allowed to go on holidays or socialise or talk to anyone.
Yeah, that's right. Even since then, you've been down here to COVID Central of Australia. Well, actually, no. COVID Central is now the state that had no COVID. You know, the one that locked themselves away from the rest of the planet. They're getting like 20,000 cases a day in WA.
Oh, are they?
And they want us to go there on holiday and move there to live.
Yeah, all the advertisements come to Western Australia.
Yeah, you said the other day they had a lot there for working. Here they've got a lot of the, wander out yonder, go here on holiday. We didn't want you for 2 years. We didn't want any of your tourism dollars then. But now we want your tourism dollars. We're not trying to offend anyone from WA here. This is you guys are not responsible for the government, but really?
So
really?
Today's episode, we're going to have Cleanaway's acquisition of Sydney Resources. Yeah, that's going well for them. Skip's trucks off the hook, and we'll read. I have found a webpage where we can plagiarize their articles.
We're not plagiarizing it. We're just informing people.
Sharing the articles.
Yes, that's right.
So the first topic, Cleanaway's acquisition of Sydney's resources.
So I feel really bad for all of the Well, not just the little guys, but I'm going to say the little guys most of all. But I feel really bad for anyone in Sydney at the moment. And when I talk Sydney, not talking about like Ewan is a little bit far from Sydney for this to be really affecting, but the guys who are actually in Sydney are having the worst time at the moment. Um, so when Cleanaway tried to buy Suez last year, their consolation prize was that they obviously didn't get Suez, which was never ever going to happen. And remember, I said that on this very podcast. I said there is no way that Veolia is going to let Cleanaway take Suez. But instead, they did get a number of the transfer stations and landfills, and it's turned to crap. Would you say that that's without going off of the PG? Would you say that's a fair statement, Ewan?
Yes, it's so Garbo's United webpage. Every single person is complaining about the absolute shit fight that's going on down there. They've shut down transfer stations, even to the general public. So, we had a brief discussion the other day about it. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And Patrick's just like, well, it's the fact that they can't manage a lubed up finger in their bum hole. Like
Yeah. So these transfer stations have been run by Suez for. I'm going off the cuff here and going to say for a decent amount of time. And you get the occasional thing which you get in everywhere. So and so transfer station is a bit of a wait here. Well, how wrong those people are about what a bit of a wait was compared to what they're doing now.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I'm trying to look it up. So one of them's Ride.
I don't think all of these ones listed in that update that one of the guys does every day. I don't think they were all Suez ones, but all of the transfer stations are now basically copying the same thing, which is the volumes coming in, but they're not getting it out. And then of course that affects the landfills like in two ways. It affects the landfills in that more people are bypassing I was going to say the train station, the transfer stations to go to directly to landfill, or you've got more transfer trailers during operating hours trying to unload at the landfill, which then obviously causes problems for the volume of trucks. So it's kind of like a snowball effect.
So this is the latest update from a day ago. Artamoon transfer station closes normal at 5. Site will reopen to commercial tipping and contracted council customers at 8. Normal hours, no deliveries from hand unload customers. Please expect delays.
And that's kind of the same thing, isn't it? It's every message that's put up is kind of like the same. It'll be like at one moment they'll accept commercial, or they won't accept commercial, and then they'll won't accept hand unload customers. Yeah. So they'll only accept rear lift trucks or
Auburn transfer station, Rockdale transfer station, same. Cleanaway have made the decision to keep the facility open under normal hours for this weekend for all commercial tipping customers and contracted council customers only. Closed to hand unloaded customers. Ride transfer station currently closed to commercial tipping. Will reopen to contracted council customers on Monday. Normal hours closed to hand load customers. Belrose transfer station currently closed to commercial and hand unload customers. Open to contracted council customers. Lucas Heights normal operations. Please expect delays. Kemps Creek normal operation. Please expect delays. Banks Meadow and is now open. Clyde is still closed. So basically, transfer station quickly is you take your rubbish to a facility, you unload the rubbish, and then the rubbish gets transferred somewhere else. So basically, all these transfer stations, which are the tip, are closed to residential people. So residents can't get rid of their rubbish because they're classed as hand unload customers.
Keeping in mind though that there is other options, like residential customers can go to any the issue here is more around. I know where you're sort of going with that, but the issue is more around companies, because companies can't go to like little, like even here where I am, there's 3 transfer stations within, I don't know, I'm going to say a 10-kilometer radius that are only for residential customers. Like you can only take a trailer, you can't take trucks in there.
Oh,
The
okay.
issue here more is around the commercial customers and commercial waste. Like you'll read all those updates, when you read them, they'll say, open to contracted councils. But this is like we're talking restaurants and medical facilities and all the places that get picked up by commercial waste. You can pick it up, but if you've got nowhere to put it, you can't pick up any more. And that's the problem that's being caused here. Um, it's the simple thing with transfer stations are a very simple enterprise. It comes in, you have to ship it out, and ideally you need to ship it out at the same rate or faster that it comes in. The minute you start to tip in the other direction, where you're shipping it out slower than it's coming in, that's when things start to be incredibly problematic.
And well, the thing about it is the only thing that's changed in these transfer stations is the management.
Yes.
It's the
the
only
the
thing
company
that's
the company operating them is the only change. Like this isn't magically like Sydney's all of a sudden producing 50% more volume of waste. This is very simple that you've got. And look, I think there's a twofold issue here, is that Cleanaway is very particular about only using their own disposal locations, which can't blame them, because from a financial point, it makes so much more sense to be tipping at your own facilities, because the money goes from one hand to the other. But the flow on of that is that you might have some of these transfer stations where cleanaway trucks have never been going to before. All of a sudden, you've added, say, I'm going to be conservative and say 15% of volume is now been added to these transfer stations. But if you're going to do that, then you need to at least up your export by 15%. Like, so whether you talk about either the volume capacity or the speed of doing it. But this is not like a 15% issue. These transfer stations are regularly being closed. That's not from 15% increase in volume. That's from, a 50%, again, just spitballing here on numbers, but a 50% decrease of volume export. Can't do it. Doesn't work.
yeah. And when we discussed it the other day, my question was, well, what is the issue? Is it the EPA has come in and said, because like each transfer station, each tip, each facility only has a set tonnage that they're allowed to keep on site. And I'm like, well, is it because they're getting more waste? And you said no, it comes down to the fact that they have changed the way that they manage the sites and it's not working.
It's the same here in Melbourne. That on my side of town, a particular transfer station. I don't want to say anything more because it gets used, but anyone in the know will know. A particular transfer station at the moment, is running excellently, but the issue seems to be that when they get running to a point where they have got transfer trailers parked up for about an hour, they will panic and go, "Oh my god, let's take X amount of transfer trucks off the road." But the flow on of that is all of a sudden you end up with a shed full, and you end up with a massive wait time, to get in compared to what you're normally waiting. And then they'll panic again and go, "Oh crap, we need to get this out of there, put more trucks on." It's consistent. Like the variation in the volume is not so much that you can't go. We're going to keep, like, if your average setup is, 2 transfer trucks per hour, 24 hours a day, that's what you keep it at. You don't all of a sudden go, oh well, look, this particular week we could have done with 1.5 trucks per hour. You
It's
don't then all of a sudden start doing 1 truck per hour to try and save a little bit of money and then fill your shed up beyond capacity. Doesn't work.
it's reactive management.
Yes.
It's instead of sitting there and going, okay, sitting down, looking at the books and go, righto. Over the month, we've had 15,000 tonne a day going out. So you'd average it out. So 15,000 tonne a day going out. To do 15,000 tonne, we need 4 trucks. So we're going to put 4 trucks in there, knowing that on maybe a Wednesday, one of the trucks might be a bit quiet or something like that. It's reactive where it's like, oh no, we can't have 4 trucks a day. We've got to cut it back to 2 trucks. And then, oh, the rubbish is we've got to go and get this truck. Oh, but that truck's over there doing that job. And then it was the same as in the mines with the dispatch. You would have the digger sitting there loading the trucks, and the trucks would be off doing rubbish, but doing the dirt. But say a truck driver had to go and have a crap or have a pee, it would flag up on the screen, oh, this digger's been waiting X amount of time, this, that, blah, blah, blah. So they'd send another truck or two into the route, and then the other truck come down, and then all of a sudden it's flagging, oh, you've got 4 trucks sitting there doing nothing. And it's kind of like, well,
Yeah.
it was only 15, 20 minutes of downtime, and now you've created this backlog. So anyway, yes, Cleanaway, they need to pull their finger out. So we'll move on to the next topic of skip trucks off the hook. This is a Patrick one. He did
So
tell me, but I
basically,
wasn't
this is
listening.
something I actually saw it on the news the other night. And it looks like that the EPA has had a rethink on this. Basically, what was going to happen was skip companies were going to, and when we talk about this, we're not talking about this is not the British thing. The skips, as in the skips that you have that come to your house, or the roll-off skips that are not used so much, more used for like construction-y type waste. Basically, what was going to happen was these companies were going to start being taxed on the remnants that sit at the bottom of the skips. So, like, basically the dirt at the bottom of skips. So once they've taken out, they've dumped 99% of what's in the skip. The dirt left over is obviously a little bit of all sorts of weird, wonderful, and horrible things. But they were going to turn around and start saying that they were going to charge this stuff at the bottom of skips, rather than be allowing people to use it in like landscaping dirt, etc. Thankfully, it sounds like they've pulled the pin and they've decided not to do that, because it was going to affect a lot of small companies. A lot of small companies run skips and everything like that. So it's good to see that they've stopped doing that. But it was basically going to work out, for an average sort of skip company, so if you're looking at 42 tons of tipping, which is sort of the average for a month of a small skip provider, it was going to be an extra $9,000 a month.
What?
Yes. So the example here, I'll just really, really quick. Sorry, this is actually 19 skip bins. 19 skip bins, 6 recycled, 3 mixed waste, 68 cubic meters in total, which is 55.50 per cubic meter. Converting that to tonnage is 42 tons at $300 a ton. It goes from $3,774 to $12,600. So they're not going to do this though anymore. They're not going to worry about, because the thing is, this stuff was basically so minimal. It just is not worth, it's not worth doing it. And it looks like they've decided that they're not going to do that. It's the material is called recovered fines, not to be confused with like speeding fine, like fines as in sand or dirt, I suppose.
Well, you'd have it so every time you tip, you would wash your bin out. You would make the tip allow you to wash your bin out.
Yeah, well, anyway, it's good. It's good to sometimes see that people do, listen to this and go, hold on, this might actually, be really, really dangerous to jobs and everything like that. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not about going, well, let's let these people off. That it's not like they're tipping, stuff that is like nuclear waste or anything like that. But the reality is, it's good to see that sometimes that people do listen and go, you know what, this is going to be cause all sorts of problems. Maybe we won't worry about doing that. So
Yes, well, any way to make money nowadays, isn't it? So we'll move on to the next article. Remondis acquires ETS. Remondis Australia has acquired Environmental Treatment Solutions. ETS entered into a joint ventures arrangement with Remondis in 2018. The full acquisition has been completed just recently. ETS Minto headquarters in Sydney and its Blaney and Rutherford sites in regional New South Wales will operate under the Remondis fold moving forward. I live near Rutherford, but I don't know. I've never heard of this
I think
ETS before.
reading this, it looks like it's a really specific sort of thing. They've actually said that the owners of the company are going to stay on as high level consultants to Remondis, and that there's no staffing changes or anything. It seems like it's very.
Here we go. A highlight of the arrangement will be evidential addition of wastewater treatment operations at Rutherford, which may result in staff recruitment. EDS obtained New South Wales Environment EPA approvals for such expansion earlier this year. Environmental Treatment Solution is an ideal fit, having developed first-class track record in terms of environmental contribution and customer focus over many years. Biggest winners are customers, given that synergies of both ETS and Remondis will take customer offerings and service to a higher level. Arrangement positions will remain cost competitive across the Australian endangered good management landscape and create scope for us to attract many new customers.
It's predominantly chemical soils and liquids.
Okay.
So it's a but that's a pretty important thing when you're talking about stuff like that, because not everywhere can handle it. And I think my impression of Remondis is they do seem to be a pretty robust and pretty I think they seem to be a company that has their head screwed on. Maybe that's like the German efficiency type thing. I don't know. But I know that they're certainly a lot bigger up in New South Wales than they are here in Victoria from a solids point of view. But they have a really big. They own a company here called Eastern Liquid, but some of the trucks have Remondis on it as well. So they're really big in the liquid, but I don't think they're that. I think they've eased off quite a bit on the the normal waste and everything like that. Here in Melbourne, I mean.
Yeah, I'm doing a Google, but it's not showing anything on it. So I think it might. There is like a petrol or a something over there. I think maybe that could be it. ETS Rutherford. Environmental Treatment Solutions. Operates multiple hazard waste disposal facilities with a focus on packaged waste streams.
Oh yeah, I read that part.
Chemical and hazardous waste.
Hazard waste, chemical waste,
Yep.
contaminated soils, and liquid waste.
Now, partly global Remundus Group. So it's got chemical and hazardous waste, contaminated soil, lab chemical disposal, specialised waste streams, industrial service and bulk liquids. So cool. So now they're with Remundus, which Remundus is what would you say? Remundus would be the third biggest waste company in Australia now.
I don't know.
Fourth.
As I said, I don't think Remondis isn't as like they seem to be overrepresented in New South Wales and underrepresented in Victoria. I don't. I think you'd still be looking at you'd be looking at the Suez Veolia tie up. Um, the tussle now would be between JJ's and Cleanaway, as in who's the biggest
Really?
out of those two, and then I think you'd go down. I think you'd probably put Ramondus probably fourth, a solid fourth.
Yep.
Well, Cleanaway got Cleanaway was number one and easily got leapfrogged by the tie because Viola and Suez were always jostling for who's number two and three. So marry those two together and you've easily made number one, very solidly and pretty much probably forever.
Yep. All right, quickly, we got a bit of time, so we'll do another article. So, $500,000 fine for using unlicensed waste depots. Civil engineering and construction company will pay $500,000 for the cleanup of unlicensed depots where it delivered waste. SEM Utilities has been convicted in the Environmental Resource and Development Court 2 counts of using environmental nuisance and fined a total of $12,600 for offences under the EPA Act 93. The additional $500,000 payment will be held in trust by the by the EPA or the owners to access for remediation of the sites at Penfield and Dirick. The first count in the prosecution by the EPA involved SEM delivering more than 35,000 tonnes of concrete, bitumen, brick pavers, rubble and soil from its commercial operations between September 2017 and April 18 to a site at Pellard Road, Penfield, South Australia. In early 2018, the site was closed after intervention by the EPA. Second count involved the delivery of 42,000 tonne of waste between April 18, April 19 to a site at Helps Road, Dirick. Both sites were operated by D&J Holdings Proprietary Limited and Kevin Green, and neither had the required EPA licence. Prosecution of these operators is continuing. Director submitted that the offence was a serious example of environmental nuisance because of the commercial nature of SEM's operations, the ongoing deposit of waste, volume of waste, and the fact that SEM did not have a reasonable basis to believe the operators were authorised to receive the waste. Outcome should send a strong message to anyone disposing of waste to ensure receiving site has the appropriate EPA licence. Cost of having to remove waste can far exceed any disposal fees avoided.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure $500 million is a lot more than it would have cost them just to do what they were supposed to do in the first place.
500,000,
like,
yeah.
500,000 was it or 500 million?
Nah, $500,000, so 500,000.
Oh, okay. Maybe not. Maybe 42,000 tons.
So
probably the 500 grand was probably cheaper.
35,000 tons at one site and 42,000 ton at the second site.
I'm guessing that fine is quite a bit cheaper than what it would have cost them to actually do it properly.
So quickly calculating at fees that I know of, 35, 1, 2,
about $100 a ton for inert.
145. 5075,000. So what's that? 5,000,000.
Yes. So they
75,000.
basically, so what the EPA is saying here is that they basically got a 90% discount on their tipping fees. Congratulations, well done. That sounds like such a. Oh my
That was
god!
only for the
I should tell our
35,000
work.
ton
I should
one.
tell our work. Find a paddock out somewhere, and don't worry. Instead of $300 a ton, you'll only get charged $30 a ton.
So
I'm joking, of course, but Jesus Christ.
the 35,000 ton at $145 a ton would have cost 5,075,000
Yeah.
to dispose of. The 42,000 ton at 145 a ton would have cost 6 million.
So
90.
okay, it's actually like a 95% discount.
So what's that? So they for them to get rid of that waste at fees or at $145 a ton, it would have cost $11 million.
Awesome.
So they got away with it for $12,600 with $500,000 going to a trust fund for the owners to remediate the site.
Right. That's to me that sounds exactly like a huge disincentive. I don't know about you, but I'm disincentivizing myself all the way to the bank here.
Well, look at it that way. They are cheaper.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that one for the very 26th episode. Welcome back to both of us, and we will talk to you in the next episode.
Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to ring Mum.